Zechariah chapter first 9 verses of on a short journey verses for us, and then we will end beginning chapter. But we will need to go most quickly chapter and then come back because thoughts that are part are chapter. Zechariah chapter 12. We also welcome and appreciate all of you who have joined the Facebook page and the platform. Thank you for joining us. Grateful, chosen to be in Sunday. If you have any questions or if you have any requests or anything that you want to know, ask, please just put them in the comments and we'll surely get back. We go on in Zechariah chapter 12. We'll journey through the text, but read it as we'll usually do. Text, and then we'll draw the lesson. First of all, let's bow our heads and hearts. Our God and our Father, we thank you. Glorify your holy name. Pray that you would open our eyes, pull from your name will be. May I also request have your phone, check it now. It's not on silent. I also request down your phone, turn it off. You want to turn off your phone, airplane. Know how to put airplane. See me, teach you how to do. Have a phone you don't know how to put on airplane. That it knocks off all other things, calls. Get help. The passage before us, in the second verse of the passage, Jerusalem is going to be besieged. So it says in Zechariah chapter 12 and verse 2, I am going to make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding. Judah will be besieged as well as Jerusalem. So Jerusalem is going to be besieged, destruction by the nations, and yet God kept them safe. God keeps them safe, and as we draw lessons from Jerusalem, God keeps us safe through different precarious situations and different difficult times. God keeps us safe. Defense that God promises his people are promises that are backed by his person. So that when God speaks and says he's going to do something, what makes it authentic is not actually what he has said. Yes, what he said, because he has said it, makes it true and right. But what really gives it power is the person that is saying it. The name behind who is saying what is being said is what gives it power. So when God speaks, he is sure that it's going to happen. So one begins to wonder why the people of God, as we see in the Bible, and some of us who are sitting down here and Christians around the world, when we have such promises, we enjoy them, and then we sometimes begin to forget to enjoy who said the things, and we want to prioritize more on what has been said. What I'm saying is that sometimes we want to enjoy the blessing and forget the one who is blessing us. And so we get carried away by the blessings. We begin to look for other sources of protection. And in God's wisdom, he knew this was going to happen. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 10 to verse 14, verse 17 and verse 18. Deuteronomy chapter 8, if you can't get there, I would read it. Listen to what God says to his children as they come into the land of promise. Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse 10. When you have eaten and are satisfied, praise the Lord your God for the good land he has given you. Be careful that you do not forget the Lord your God, failing to observe his commands, his laws, and his decrees that I am giving you today. Otherwise, when you eat and are satisfied, when you build fine houses and settle down, what happens? And when your herds and flocks grow large, and your silver and gold increase, and all you have is multiplied, then your heart will become proud, and you will forget the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. Verse 17. You may say to yourself, my power and and the strength of my hands have produced this wealth for me. But remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to wealth, and so confirms his covenant, which he swore to your ancestors as it is today. There has always been and still continues to be the tendency to get carried away by the blessings that we enjoy and forget the one who has blessed us. And God, in his wisdom, knew that when his children settle and everything is going well, there's a tendency to forget God and begin to enjoy the things. There's a tendency to say, I'm the one that did it. It's in my power. And God is saying, hey, I need to warn you ahead of time. When that time comes, don't forget God. Child of God, I need to remind some of us and warn some of us that the blessings that you have, don't let them take your eyes off the one who has blessed you. That the things God has done for you, the things God is doing for you, the things God will do for you, may they not take your attention from the God who did it. The challenge we have is we enjoy those things, and as we enjoy them, we forget God. We get carried away by our education. We get carried away by the blessing on our businesses. We get carried away even by the children that God has blessed us with. We get carried away by all the things he does for us, and he tells Israel, don't get to that point, because if you get to that point, you have lost the reality and the real reason. There's always been this problem. And as we will see in our passage, God promises his people protection. And that's one of the things that we enjoy from him. The protection and deliverance for his people. Great things that he was going to do. So what I want to do is to take you through this passage quickly and see the things God did. And then take us back to the person who did it, as the passage tells us. The first thing is Jerusalem is described like a cup that is filled. A cup that is filled and forces have come around them. We see that in verse 2. A cup that is filled and forces have come around them. And when they come around them to attack Jerusalem, what does God say? God says he's going to protect them. That is, they will leave like they are drunk. They will leave staggering. They will leave without being sure of where they are and who they are. So that instead of attacking Jerusalem, God says, I will make you like a cup that gets them drunk because I would have fought for you. This idea is what we see in Isaiah 51 and verse 17. Because the picture of this cup of wrath is that God is angry and he pours out his anger on people that they stagger and they lose their balance and they cannot fight anymore. So God protects his people out of the jealousy he has for them. God protects his people. And how does he fight for them? He makes these people come to them. He makes these people come to them and see them as wine that they can take. But when they get there, God fights for them. God still fights for his people in ways that we do not recognize. Go on to verse 3. God shows his strength over his people. Verse 3 says, on that day, when all the nations of the earth are gathered against her, that's Jerusalem. That's in the verse, it tells us Judah and Israel, but it talks about all. I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock for all the nations. All who try to move it, what will happen? Will injure themselves. Imagery moves beyond them just reeling now and staggering. And God is saying that when the day comes, and the day refers to the deliverance God gives Israel, and refers also is believed to refer to the second coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. That when that day comes, not only will they leave reeling, staggering, but they will come and he would have made Jerusalem so strong that in the bid to attack Jerusalem, injure themselves. The stress is on the seriousness of their injury. The root is usually associated with the cutting of oneself. But the idea is that they'll dislocate their backs. They will not be able to do anything. That in trying to move Jerusalem, because of how strong Jerusalem is, God doesn't just stop there. God also promises between verse 4 and verse 5 the blessing of divine intervention and protection. God promises that he will give them divine intervention and protection. Look at verse 4. On that day, I will strike every horse with panic and its rider with what? With madness. Who says that? Declares the Lord. I will keep a watchful eye over Judah, but I will blind all the horses of the nation. First of all, God says He's going to strike the horses. This is saying that I'm going to deal with the army of these people. I'm going to deal with their forces. I'm going to fight for you. And how is He going to do it? In a divine way, that their horses will panic. Their horses will be afraid. Their horses will be dumbfounded. Their horses will not be sure where to go. But not only that, even if the horses were sure where to go, the riders would have lost their minds. The riders would not be able to lead well. As He does that, His eyes over Judah, His eyes will watch over them. His eyes will be opened over them. God says that He's going to take care of them. And then He says in verse 5, because of this that He has done, because of this divine intervention, the clans of Judah say in their hearts, of Jerusalem are strong, because the Lord Almighty. Why? Fight them. Of Jerusalem really didn't do anything, but they were real, they're staggering. They came to fight them, and the horses that they trusted in. You know the psalm that says some will trust in horses, some will trust in chariots, but what do? We trust in the name of the Lord. So they came with horses, but the horses started staggering. They came with their eyes open, but they couldn't see the people. They came and they thought everything was okay, but they lost their mind, so they didn't even know the location where they were anymore. And this was happening, and Jerusalem was standing back, and they said, this indeed, God is in. Thank God that God says that when they see His hand, the people of Jerusalem, the people who say that they are strong because the Lord Almighty is their God. I hope you know that in all these verses, Jerusalem didn't do anything. God did everything. Because in their own capacity, they could not fight this. In their own capacity, they would not have won this battle. In their own capacity, they didn't have the army to fight these people. Child of God, many of us who are sitting down here, because of our faith and what we believe in, we don't have the capacity to fight the kind of things that are brought against us. But there's a God in heaven who fights for His children when they are still, who fights for His children when they are quiet. That's why He told Israel, be still and know that I am God. I will fight for you. I will deliver you. But sometimes we think we can fight for ourselves. So we start by running around before running to God. No, start from God and He will lead you where to go. We start from talking to the people we know, contacts that we have. No, talk to the eternal one who can blind eyes, who can confuse horses, who can confuse men. Talk to that one who can raise people where no one expects them to be raised and give you an answer where you least expect the answer from. I pray that we will have that kind of confidence. But sometimes we forget. And when we get our liberation, what do? We go back to those people. And that's why sometimes God allows us to see His great deliverance, teach us lessons. Not only that, as we go on, we see in verse 6 that God states that He will do beyond their imagination. Look at verse 6. On that day, I will make the clans of Judah like a fire pot in the aisle, like a flaming torch among shelves. They will consume all the surrounding peoples, right and left. But what will happen to Jerusalem? Jerusalem will remain intact in her place. God was going to use them. God was speaking more now of how He will use His people, and He will make them do beyond what they could even do for themselves. They will be like fire that burns dry grass. They will burn everybody up. The Lord will protect them, but the Lord will preserve His people. The Lord will preserve His people. And in verse 8, God promises them special powers. Have special powers. That day, God will shield those who live in. But the feeblest among them, like David, and the house of David be like God, like the angel of the Lord going before. What a promise! That the weakest one will be like David. The weakest one is like David. David is the premier king of Israel. And so when they say the weakest one will be like David, it's like saying the weakest one will be able to kill Goliath. It's like saying the weakest one will be able to kill their thousands, while Saul is just killing hundreds. It's like saying the weakest one will be able to kill lions and bears. That's what God is saying, that the weakest ones, the ones you think they can't do anything, I will make them so strong. And then the house of David all together will be like God. How? They'll be like an angel marching out to battle. Marching out to battle. These are the blessings that God has given them. And God was promising them. And in verse 9, God expressed determination to give them hope. On that day, I will set out to destroy all the nations that attack. So God gives them these promises. And as He gives them these promises, one begins to wonder if they had this kind of promises and enjoyed these promises because God kept delivering them. Why? Activity. Now I'm sure you're waiting to get a topic for what I want to talk about. And what I want to talk about is great blessings, but a greater God. The blessings are great. The protection is great. The blessings are magnificent. The blessings are wonderful. The blessings are beyond human imagination. The blessings cannot be seen and equated to any man doing it. They are great. They are wonderful. They are worthy of praise. But there's a greater God. My point this morning, I remind you again, is not be focused on the blessing and forget the God. May you not be focused on the blessing. Forget the God who gives blessing. Somebody, however, if you look at it, somebody rightly said that some people have been praying for money, and trying to speak from a humanistic point, said God is not afraid of you having money, but He's afraid of money having you. Because He knows if He gives some of us what we're actually asking for, you get into the problem that we in the church face every time. People come and say, Pastor, pray for me, I need a job. And Pastor prays, and they get the job. What the job, you see them in church. After the job, you don't see them. Then you ask them, brother, sister, what the problem? No. And I'm always truly tempted to ask, pray again, that this job, that you can have more time. Always fall into the tendency of getting carried away by the blessing. Forget God. Why do we forget God? For what the verse says, and this is where I'll spend a little while, and then verse 1. A prophecy. The word of the Lord concerning it. Is this Lord? The Lord who stretches out the heaven. Who is this Lord? Lord who lays the foundation of the earth. Who is this Lord? Lord who forms the human spirit to a person. That's the Lord that has promised. That Lord is bigger than all the blessings that He has promised. That Lord has more blessings to give if we would enjoy what He has given us and not. Let's look at what He says. First is the Lord who stretches out the heavens. This shows the omnipotent power of God. That God is the God of all creation. He's the one who made the celestial sphere of this world. He's the one who laid out the heavens. And man might stretch and do all that they can. And how the picture is that you see how you take a cloth and lay on a table. You spread a tablecloth. That's how God stretched the earth. That's how God created the earth. And if He's the one that created the earth, knows this earth better. That's why He can say all the gold and silver is mine. That's why He can tell you that when He's hungry, He doesn't need you to know how to get Him food, because all the animals are His. That's why when He wants to move, He doesn't need to ask you, how do you move from point A to B? Because He's everywhere, every time, all the time, in this wonderful stretch of earth that He has created. He stretches the heavens. He arranges them. He puts them in that array of beauty. That's the God your hope should be on. The God who is in control of the heavens and the earth. So that even if the enemy says they're in the heavens, your God is in control of the heavens. Wherever they say they are, whatever they say they can do, the God who controls the heavens is your God. We will always be afraid, because when we see the things that we have and begin to see how they depreciate every day and forget that the God we serve is eternal, he remains the same. He's always the same. He doesn't depreciate. His power is the same. We will always be afraid when we take our eyes off the eternal God, our eyes temporal blessing. This God stretched the heavens. This God made the heavens and the earth. But what does he say? Look at the second thing he says. He lays the foundation of the earth. So not only does he control the heavens, he laid the foundation. That demonstrates his absolute control over our world. The heavens, he's in control. This terrestrial world that we can see, control. Marvel that we have, that he hung the planets in space, causing ceaseless wonder and praise to those who try to consider it. And every day, science is trying to find out, how did these things get there? How did this may not be able, they try every day to explain the heaven and the earth. But hey, not even finished understanding. If you are a fan of National Geographic, you know that channel? If you are a fan of that channel, no, there's so much to this world that we still don't. Yet, the little problems that we have, the little challenges that we have, get afraid because we've taken our eyes off the one who made the earth. He's in charge of this earth. He made this earth. He laid the foundation of the earth. The other day we were talking, and I just having this short time of walking around this building and seeing what is done. Meet a builder, and they can tell you the story of a building, how they laid the foundation. And when you lay a foundation with the goal of building a building that foundation can carry. You lay a foundation and you know what that foundation can carry. So if somebody comes tomorrow and wants to put something on a foundation that he doesn't know about, chances are it can cause problem. God laid the foundation, everything on this earth, and made a foundation that can carry everything that he has laid. Fortunately, we don't even know how he laid the foundation, but we are worried about the things on the foundation. God is reminding you, my dear brother, my dear sister, God is reminding you today that if he laid the foundation, every other thing on that foundation is in his control. Don't be afraid. Everything is in his control. But hey, not only did he stretch out the heavens, not only did he lay the foundation of the earth, but the third thing he says is that what? Forms the human spirit in a person. Word formed implies careful shaping, like that done by Potter. Oh, science, wonderful breakthrough science has had, and we believe science will continue to have wonderful. In fact, right now, them to have a breakthrough virus. Then also, yeah, science has done so much. Watch all the things that science is doing. The other day, I watched the leader of one country, and he had a robot that was created to go with him everywhere. It's a defense robot. Sees more than the human eyes can see, because there are more cameras around the robot, so he can see if danger is coming. The robot works with these personalities, and if you can afford that robot will help to protect the people that are around. Science have produced robots over time. In fact, there's an old film I always like watching. It's called RoboCop, where they took a man who was actually like brain dead and kind of recreated him and made him again. And I like the end of that film when they struck despair, that they'll fix you. They fix anything. Science can fix anything, but science cannot create the spirit of man. That remains in the hand of God. Science can help to keep your body going, but that's why God says, don't be afraid of those who can touch this body. Be afraid of the one who controls the spirit. And this is the problem we have, brothers and sisters. We take our eyes off the one who is of most important, the one who is the greater one than the blessings that we have. The spirit in man is greater than the body that he carries. It's the spirit that makes the body function. The day the spirit leaves, then you find out that this body is useless. If God controls the spirit, he crafted the spirit, he made the spirit, and they are trying to see. They've done everything. They can tell you everything about your blood and what your blood can do and not do, the things in your blood and what makes your blood and everything. But the spirit in man is still in the control of who? Formed the spirit. Formed the spirit also can control the spirit. He can bring conviction while you're afraid. Somebody, and I will keep reminding you until it resonates very well in your heart. You're in any part of life. Why are you afraid? That another person who was formed by God challenges another person who was formed by God and begins to threaten you. On what grounds? On what grounds do you threaten another person? On what grounds? Oh, you have a position. It's just a matter of time. If I'm behind you, you will leave one day. I play sometimes with the senior pastors that we have in our denomination. And as you get older, you get close to your retirement and you rise in the system. And we joke sometimes and say, you can treat me anyhow now because you are in office. One day you will leave. Maybe I'll be in office. I'll be in charge of signing your retirement check and I can decide to delay it. So it's just a matter of time. Child of God, God controls the spirit in man. Then we should be grateful to him for the greater things he does. If God controls the spirit in man, then yes, those blessings he gives to us are great. This body is great, but there's a greater God. There's a greater God who is in charge. And all of these three participles that we've talked about, they indicate something interesting, that there are continuous actions going on progressively in the present. Why? Wake up every morning, the sun is there, holds the sun. Songwriter says, tells the moon when to come? Who tells the sea where to stop? Who puts the star there? Science has told us that if the sun should drop 1 inch, you know we're in trouble. It should go up the same thing. We're in trouble. Who maintains the sun in the right place every day? Who allows the clouds to, now they are gathering and water is going, and when the season comes, water come down. Who created that circle of life that we enjoy? And what he's saying is that progressively every day, God takes care of the air that we breathe, takes care of the sky that he laid out. God takes care of the earth that he laid the foundation. Soil that we have, world that we live. How much, may I ask you, pay for oxygen? How much? It's free. Huh? It's free. Who purifies it? With all that we've done to pollute our world, still breathe and breathe out. And I think the last time I checked, God created this human body with a way that it helps to reduce the debt that enters it. Is that also? There's a small way of purification that the body has, and the body maintains itself. This is the thing that God has done, and every day it's faithful, taking care. But we forget. Oh, we forget because finally you came from the village, thought nothing was going to happen. Finally, you are in the city. Or you who had nobody, and when you arrived, you thought there was nothing that could be done. Now you have a house. And then you carry your shoulder. You've arrived. Arrived where? The spirit that you carry was crafted by God. This world that you think you are celebrating is and the skies that gives you the joy to live. Close with these words that I read by the late Dr. Warren Wiersbe. This is what he says. If we look above us, see the heavens God created. If we look beneath us, we see the earth that he founded. And if we look within us, find the spirit that formed us. The God of creation is the God who cares. If we look above us, we see the heavens God created. If we look beneath us, we see the earth that he founded. And if we look within us, find the spirit that formed us. The God of creation is the God who cares for us. My prayer this evening, never focus more on the blessing and forget the greater God. Sang a song, and if we were able to get the song, some of you know that song. And I want us to sing that song. If there people have it, we can put it up. If you don't have it, I don't know if you can lead the song. It says, Lord my God, when I or someone consider all works thy hand hath made, I see the stars, I hear the mighty thunder, thy power throughout. Know this God and you want to celebrate his awesomeness, can you rise? Let's sing in adoration to him this morning and praise his holy name, that our eyes will remain focused on his glorious power and his glorious person. Oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the works thy hand hath made, I see the stars, I hear the mighty thunder, thy power throughout the universe my Savior God to me. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God to thee. When the woods and forest glades I wander and hear the birds sing sweetly in the trees. When I look down from lofty mountains grandeur, and hear the brook bearing, sent him to die. I scarce can take it in, that on the cross my burdens, oh, he bled and died to take away my sin and saves my soul. My Savior God to thee, how great thou art, how great thou art, and sings my Savior God to thee, how great. When Christ shall come with shouts of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart? Then I shall bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. We just thank God. Anything of Him, you're asking for. That yes, His blessings are great, but who's what is taking first place in your life? Whatever it is that is taking first place in your life, stretch out there. And it laid the foundations of the earth. And it put the spirit. And it sustained the stretch out heaven. And it sustained the earth that has been. And it sustained the spirit. We ask God, talk to your Father. Help me see you more than all the blessings, to pursue you more than all the blessings that I think. Like we were reminded, there will be a hunger for righteousness above a hunger for spirit, a hunger for holy living, above a hunger for healing. Great blessing, but there's a greater God. That there be a hunger to honor God than a hunger to man. Ask God that there be a hunger for Him above every other thing in your life. A hunger for a deeper relationship with Him. And a hunger for open doors through another man. Great thou art, Lord our. Indeed, we stand in some. See the skies that you laid out, earth that laid its foundation. Spirit of the God, open our eyes. Spirit of the living, see the goodness. Maybe some will have a they only see the greatness of the church, not the greatness of the Savior. See of gathering, they miss the great hope that your spirit some to bring them to. Says you can't hold spirit. See you greater than all issues of Nigeria. See you greater, oh Lord, than the challenges as education. See you greater than our economy. To see you greater than that sickness, open up. To see you greater than that joblessness, open up. To see you greater than the business, open our eyes. To see you greater than our spouses, open our eyes. To see you greater than our children, open our eyes. To see you greater, oh God, than our prosperity, open our eyes. Help us see you highly exalted in our lives. Open our eyes, oh God, that we will see the greatness of our God and know that everything else falls in comparison to the greatness of our God. Now give us this opening this day, oh God. And our lives will never remain the same because we will see whatever they say, there's a God that says better. In His name we seated offerings, beatitudes today.
everything, Lord. Yeah. You are right in honor, you are right in honor, you are right in glory, you are right in honor. Your name is majesty. We bless the name. Oh, yeah. Oh, there is no one like you, Lord. You are right in honor, you are right in glory. Now we worship your holy name. There is no one like you, Lord. Yeah. Hallelujah, we will praise you. Your majesty. You are the Alpha and Omega. Your majesty. Now we come before our great King. Your majesty. And unto you we all return. Your majesty. Hallelujah, we will praise you. Your majesty. You are the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Now we've come before our great King. Your majesty. And unto you will glory return. Your majesty, your majesty, thou art the king of all creation. Your majesty, your majesty, thou art the king of all creation. Your majesty, your majesty, thou art the king of all, the king of all creation. Yes, you are the king of all creation. Oh, yeah. Your majesty, thou art the king of all creation. Yeah. You are beyond the galaxies. You are beyond the universe. Yeah. Yes, you are beyond the universe. Beyond eternity. You are beyond eternity. Lord, we bow before you. Oh, Lord, we bow before you. Lord, we bow before you. Lord, we give you praise. Only you know. Where the darkness hides. Only you know. Where the lights come from. It's your right hand. It's the right hand. Sustains the universe. You are wrapped in honor. You are wrapped in glory. Yeah. Hallelujah. You are everything. You know everything, Lord. Yeah. You are wrapped in honor.